Let's talk about some of the newer, or relatively newer, members of the gym. Liam Williams, Jake Ball, Jason Quigley. What convinced you to take those guys on? How did it all come together?
Jason Quigley, nice guy, an Irish guy. Watched his career. Saw him over in America when Kell Brook boxed in 2014 against Sean Porter. He was on the undercard. Had a bit of a chat with him then. And I just don't think he was happy with the situation where he was. I just thought, this guy's I watched his fights and I just thought, why is he trying to be a puncher and knock everybody out? Because watching him in the amateurs, he was more of a boxer. He obviously got Mexican trainers who train you that way, and I think he wasn't happy with that situation. And he got a hand damage from doing that. He came over, we had a chat. He liked what I was saying, I liked his approach, and we had a couple of weeks training. And, it all worked out. It all worked out well. So, he's a good kid, quality kid, got a good promoter, which is always a bonus. Jake Ball, he came to me, he came up sparring Billy Joe Saunders. And I thought, he's a good kid, another traveller, disciplined, never too far over the weight. That's an easy job. Liam Williams, we had Liam Williams up here sparring with Kell Brook, with Billy, with everybody. And Jason Quigley, and I thought, he's another kid who can fight, he keeps himself on it. And I think when, he boxed in those world title fights, I think it was just little things that he did wrong, what, got him beat. He can see them. Hopefully he's still got enough in the tank in 2 weeks' time to beat Efron and get yourself back in the mix.
You said before that not too long ago you only had maybe 3 high-profile fighters in the gym. Now it's thriving. Are you more comfortable, more happy in such a busy, kind of thriving gym where they all bounce off each other?
It takes me back to the time when NAZ was in the gym, because we had Naseem Hamed, we had Johnny Nelson, we had all these guys coming through, and Ryan Rhodes. So the top 3 fighters then were Johnny Nelson, Naz and Ryan. And then coming through we had Junior Waiter, Isham Pickering. We had lots of kids turning up because they'd seen Naz and wanted to come in the gym. So the gym then, back in 95, 96, was absolutely buzzing, just like it is now. And we've got trainers in the gym. We've got me, we've got John, my brother, who trained Naz, who took a bit of time out for a while, just managed fighters. And we've got another guy who boxed, was called Amir Khan, who's Killer Khan. He boxed. He's been through the system from 14-year-old. He trains kids. He's good on the pads. He's good at organising stuff. So we've got more than enough staff to cope, with the fighters that we got. And we all gel, and we've all got the similar kind of pad style. They all know the same shots. And it takes the strain off of me. And when we get in the ring, obviously it's me in the corner, doing the game plans and working it all through.
Your legendary father, Brendan, obviously sadly passed away earlier this year. Do you think he'd kind of appreciate the fact that it's now a bustling gym again, like it was in his heyday? Yeah,
he would do. But I think somebody once came up from boxing news to interview me, my dad, and John a few years back, and they said to him, "Do you see yourself in any of your kids?" And he went, "No." And the thing is, my dad used to take on all the waifs and strays, anybody. He'd try and help anybody, but we've got to be a bit more selective these days, because it's a different type of kid who comes to box these days. There's so many other distractions and other ways to make money these days that the kids coming through now, compared to back then, there's very far and few between who've got that fight in them. Do you know what I mean? They're a bit soft, to be honest. And so you're doing well if you can pick a few kids out from the kids who are coming in from when they're 10, 11 or 12 years old. We have Saturday and Sunday classes where they bring all the amateurs in, and you can see the kids who you could pick out and think he's going to do something and going to progress onwards. But them kids are getting less and less now. So, we take on fighters. We've attracted fighters from outside of this area. They come to live here. Jake Ball, for example, Liam Williams from Wales, Jason Quigley from Donegal. They're coming from further afield because they know this situation. They look at people like Kell Brook and Kid Gallagher and think, you know what, they've had good careers. They're well looked after. They're not getting beat up. They don't look like boxers. And this is a professional gym. We do it, it's 24/7 really. So I think my dad would look down and think, it's still going good, and we still keep the same, ethos. We keep the same training methods. We obviously embellish it, but we still got the basic stuff, the footwork, the hit and not get hit mentality, the lines. We don't. It's not. We haven't changed the style at all. We've just added to it. So it's good.
Do you feel, especially now he's no longer with us, that there's more pressure perhaps from outside to live up to his legacy?
Not really, because really for the last 10 years of his life, he was inactive in the sense that he didn't come out to he didn't do the corner work. He came in the gym and he just observed and whatever. So it was like a transition period anyway, and everything was going. He was happy. He used to roll up at the fights, and He'd obviously see people winning, and that's all. And, that's the end result is what counts. Winning is what counts. So there's not really any pressure because, when I look back now, it's only when I look back now he's gone. When we were born, we were groomed to do this job. We didn't realise at the time. We came in here. He never made us box. We'd be swinging off these beams and the bags and the ropes, just like my kids do. And he never said to me, "You're going to be a boxer." I've more or less drifted into it myself. And then just watching how he trained people, and he'd be taking us to boxing matches, he'd be taking us abroad, and he'd be telling us how you make weight and all these things. It's all going in, but you're thinking, oh yeah, I don't want to be a boxer. And I didn't want to be a boxing trainer. I came in because Brendan and John were busy with everybody else. They said, you're going to have to start coming in and just spending a bit of time with these novices because my dad don't want to turn them away. So really I was the third choice, and now I'm at the top of the game. But, John's come back in, which is good. He's had the experience in the world title fights. Johnny Nelson, he must have done 40 or 50 world title fights. And that's what training's about. Being a trainer, it's experience, being in a situation and knowing how to handle it. And I laugh these days when I see, these self-proclaimed trainers coming through, bigging themselves up, telling everybody how good. It's not for them to tell everybody how good they are. It's for the fighters or the results to speak for themselves. And it's down to experience. Don't matter whether you're good on pads or you think you've got a good fight plan. How long have you been doing it? Well, I used to be a boxer. Well, so what? My dad boxed and he had a 50-50 record and he wasn't fantastic. But he turned out to be a brilliant trainer. How many brilliant fighters have you seen what have turned out to be good trainers? Can you name one?
Brilliant fighters. Rob McCracken, maybe not brilliant, but world-class fighter who became a good trainer.
Yeah, one. Let's go back to America. Pick me an American trainer.
Yeah, go on. That's a lot more difficult.
Exactly, because they tell you how good they are.
Freddie Roach was a
yeah, exactly. Freddie Roach was a club fighter and learned from his mistakes and then took that into his game when he trained fighters. That's where he comes from. If you're a fantastic fighter and you never made any mistakes, how can you then direct a fighter who might be making mistakes? Because you might think, yeah, but that fighter was, he didn't make mistakes because he was brilliant. No, he didn't. He didn't make mistakes because there were people around him stopping him from making mistakes. Just like when we had Naseem Hamed, we stopped him from making mistakes. You understand? And that's what happens. You have to control. Same with Kell Brook. But then they get to a point where you let them off the rein and they just cause havoc. And they start to unravel. Look at Jermaine Taylor. Look at these fighters who were brilliant fighters. Tyson, up to a point, and then what did he do? He just imploded, exploded, whatever he did. So because the people who were around him keeping them all in a place are no longer there. Customato was no longer there. The person he listened to, Naseem Hamed, Brendan Ingle. When Brendan Ingle wasn't there, who's going to turn around and say to Naseem Hamed, you can't do that? His brothers aren't going to tell him to do that, and all the people slapping him on the back aren't going to tell him to do that. They're going to let him do what he wants because that's how it is. Nobody's going to have the balls to say you shouldn't be doing that. You're doing that wrong. You need to do this.
Do you ever speak to Naz now?
Yeah, I see him. I can understand why Brendan would never speak to him again. He spent most of his life, and as you know, you're a father. Time is valuable when you've got kids, and we still talk to Naz. Because although John put a lot of time into him, we didn't put as much time in as Brendan. Brendan put a lot of time and sacrifice into Naz. He's like one of the family, so you can understand the bitterness there. My dad would have nothing to do with him. And Naz was trying to get back and make up with him, but my dad's not interested. It's like some girlfriend you've been out with 20 years ago that you're not. You've been through a bad patch, you don't want to ever see him again. My dad weren't interested. Things had moved on, but we still see him. If we see him, we talk to him. There's no, I ain't got a problem with it. It don't matter to me.
What do you make of his kind of cult kind of position now as this kind of strange pundit who comes out with random things on TV?
To say he was so vain and he was such a good fighter, it just shows you, doesn't it, that at 41, 42 years old, he could be in good shape, he's a millionaire, he's got a big house, a nice family, he could be the bee's knees, but it's like anything else, can't be bothered. It's like he's going to live the next 20 to 30 years life as, like that, fat and out of shape, and maybe in his mind he still thinks he's the Naseem Hamed of 95, 96, 97. I don't know. Who knows how they think? But yeah, listen, looking back now, he was an exciting fighter. He brought boxing right up to the forefront. There were great times, the Britpop era, Oasis. It were a great time. He was packing out Sheffield Arena and stadiums and everywhere. Everybody loved him. So it was great for boxing. But you would have just thought now that you'd have looked at life as it is and thought, I need to get myself in shape. and smarten my acts up.
Maybe you need to do like an exercise plan or something. You're not in too bad shape yourself for fair to say a middle-aged man.
Well, I'm past middle age now. I'm 51, aren't I? But I trained Naz. I trained Naz for the McCulloch fight. I did his diet, and I can remember one morning sitting down and having breakfast with him, and him saying, "Dominic, I've never done this before a fight. Why didn't you tell me about this before?" I goes, "I did tell you, Naz. I goes, but you didn't want to listen. I goes, you thought you knew it all. Because you didn't want to pay me." I says, "And you struggled." I says, "And now you get to the end of your career." I says, "You realise." I says, "Because, you think because you're the world champion of all these fights, that you know it all." I says, "To me, you're just that little snotty-nosed kid who's coming in at 7, 8, 9 years old." I says, "That's what it means. What you mean to me." I says, "Everybody else thinks you're fantastic." I says, "But we know what you like, don't we?" And my pet name for Naz were Razza. And I used to say, "Come on, Razza." And he'd say, "Dominic, don't talk to me like that in front of people. Like, I'm world champ." I went, "Yeah." I said, "When you're not world champion," I said, "nobody bothered about you." I said, "So make the best of it. Try and be nice. Try and do as good as you can." I said, "And afterwards, people will still respect you." And it's the same thing. People love or hate him, don't they? But, he speaks his mind. You've seen him in the commentaries. He's entertaining. He always manages to revolve the conversation back around to him and how good he was, which is, is understandable. But yeah, listen, he was a character.
Brilliant. Well, Don, we thank you for your time. I know you've got a busy gym to get back to, but really appreciate it.